I have no doubt the president's happy with this move. Not on Nvidia, but on Intel, higher by almost 30% in the pre-market. Your first reaction to that deal?
Well, I mean, look, from an Nvidia perspective, I don't see a big strategic rationale, given Intel has been such a big competitor over the years, except for the fact that Nvidia has a very healthy balance sheet, and it's been making investments, in CoreWeave and some other cloud providers. So $5 billion is not a big amount for them, given their balance sheet. And co-developing chips, to my mind, Intel's kind of ecosystem revolves around x86, and they dominate in the PC world. So that's where Nvidia can use their distribution. But the fact that they are not using them in Foundry, I mean, that just goes to show that they don't want to touch that TSMC ecosystem where they dominate. And so it's more of, you have to convince the government that you're doing something about it. I mean, clearly, government has a 10% stake in Intel now. And, this was probably the best way to go about it.
What do you think Nvidia might get in return? Have you given that some thought?
Well, the PC refresh cycle, we have been waiting for that for a while.
I'm thinking more of what the president might be able to give them. Access to China, selling their high-end chips.
That's definitely on the cards. And look, getting to a monopoly position is never a good thing for a company. That's what we have learned from Google, because once you get to a monopoly position, it attracts so much attention. So to my mind, Nvidia wants to keep competitors who are distant, third or second. And so from that perspective, it's good that Intel will be a competitor. But at the same time, Nvidia still maintains the lead, and they don't get classified as a monopoly.
Dan Ives of Wedbush is standing by, wants to jump on. He calls the deal a huge game changer for Intel. Dan, good morning and welcome to the program. Why do you believe this is such a huge game changer?
Pop the champagne. I mean, for Intel. Now you have Nvidia, godfather of AI, doubling down. And this follows, obviously, U.S. government investment. I mean, what this essentially does, it brings Intel into the AI game. You think that from a stock perspective, that changes the multiple. And clearly, this is also going to be viewed very positively in D.C. I think that's something that could definitely help Jen-Hsun and others when it comes to China.
Dan, I do wonder, though, about Mandeep's point, this idea that this isn't Nvidia going all in and developing their chips for the big semiconductors, the big hyperscalers at the Intel foundry. This is simply a $5 billion side project about PCs. How much is this essentially just an olive branch to the president and not an actual move of Nvidia to try to fortify Intel's plans to become the foundry?
Yeah, look, Mandeep brings up great points as always. But look, this is also, it's a doubling down on investment in the U.S. I mean, that's also what it is. Now, clearly, that obviously olive branch to Trump administration and others. But what they're also doing is, when it comes to the PC upgrade cycle, x86, I mean, this does give them another potential growth lever. And look, Nvidia right now, it's Nvidia's world, everyone else is paying rent. And they know that they're in a massive position of strength. But for Intel, I mean, think about it, you went from, call it a month ago, some worries about, in terms of the CEO potentially out. Now you get the investment from government, and you have Intel, now again, Nvidia. I mean, that is a Goldilocks scenario for Intel.
This is coming at a time when China is trying to emphasize domestic production of their own technology and really trying to create national champions there that can rival Nvidia and other U.S. tech giants. I just wonder whether it is possible to continue for the likes of Nvidia trying to push into China, trying to sell more advanced chips into that country, while at the same time playing with this idea of U.S. independence from China.
Look, it's a tight wire act, but the reality is that there's one chip in the world fueling the AI revolution, and that's led by godfather of AI, Jen-Hsun, Nvidia. And that's why in China, look, they could tell Chinese big tech in Beijing, don't buy Nvidia chip. That's like telling a kid, okay, don't eat the candy that's on the table. So that's the reality, because they're years ahead of when you look at Huawei and others. But at the same time, I mean, Trump administration recognizes they have to strengthen AI infrastructure, AI chip making. And you look at Intel, I mean, they've gone obviously from a huge laggard. I mean, Intel, all the red tape, all the sort of black eye moments, you finally have some positives at Intel.